Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we are talking the Red Sox as we tend to do from time to time, and we are specifically talking about how April went for the Boston Red Sox in respect to their division standings, their individual performances, just kind of a general overview in case you may have missed some things. So if you guys like that type of content, this should be a decently long video, and we're just going to kind of run through it pretty raw and have some reactions to it. So buckle up, it's going to be a fun video, and let's get right into it. All right, so taking a look at the standings overall, the Red Sox right now, they are 17 and 15. They're in second place in the AL East currently. They are a game and a half behind the New York Yankees for first place in the division. And when you look at their actual standings at the moment, we have a 2-game lead on the Tampa Bay Rays. We are 3.5 game up on the Blue Jays and 5.5 up on the Baltimore Orioles. Now, at face value, if you were to ask Red Sox fans how you felt about a 17-15 record at the end of April, at the beginning of the season, most people would probably be like, either that's fine, or they'd be like, well, here we go again, another kind of 500 team that Red Sox are going to be meddling, blah, 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 whatever. And I feel that. I mean, we've had some pretty brutal losses, but when you actually look at the standings as a whole, this is not a bad position to be in. I talked about this at the beginning of the season, prior to the season being started, that the AL as a whole is very weak this year. There are not a lot of teams that I feel are strong when you compare it to the National League. I mean, you look at the standings right now overall. Tampa Bay Rays aren't doing very well. They're underperforming. The Blue Jays are underperforming. Baltimore, what is happening in Baltimore right now? They don't have any pitching. And I honestly don't think that they're going to recover, be able to make the playoffs this year. But you look at some of these other teams, I mean, everybody's kind of sort of grouped together. They're not too far out. And even the Orioles, which I just said weren't going to make it, they're only 5.5 games out. Whereas you look at some of these other divisions, we have the Tigers here, 19 and 12. The Guardians are pretty good. The Royals are kind of good. And then you have the other teams kind of at the bottom. Minnesota's not as bad as this, I don't think. But Seattle's a little bit surprising up here. The Astros are always there. Just the Athletics, the not Oakland or Sacramento Athletics, really overperforming by a lot of people's standards, but they were going to be better this year regardless. And then you kind of like if you just look at the standings as a whole, though, everybody's kind of in the middle, right? Like they're not too far off from 500. There's not too many teams that are just dominating the standings. In fact, I don't think there's any teams that are dominating standings. Like you look at the National League as a whole, and the National League is just completely different level. When you talk about like the Mets are performing at a 12 and 10 record, you got the Dodgers at 12 and 10, Padres at 19 11, the Giants at 19 and 12. Like these are teams that these are good teams. These are really good teams up here. In fact, all five, there might be 6 teams here that are better than every team in the American League. But when we're talking general standings, I think that the position that the Red Sox in is fine at the moment. Could be better, but as a whole, we're a game and a half out of first place. And if you said that at face value, game and a half out of first place heading into the season, I think most people are pretty happy with that notion, as opposed to being 17 and 5. Game and a half out of first, not bad. So let's keep scrolling down here. You look at how the Red Sox have been performing, and right here, this is just kind of like a little bar graph that talks about like how the Red Sox wins have been. So like, for example, this green one right here, they won 18 to 7. That's why it's a huge green bar, because the Red Sox won by a lot. And then you notice down here, we lost the White Sox 1 to 11. We lost to the Tampa Bay Rays 1 to 16. This was in a 4-game span. This was a brutal stretch here. But you look at like the season as a whole, and I mean, outside of kind of the first half of the season, I mean, we've been doing pretty okay for a while now. I mean, we're 4 wins, we lost a game, we win 2, we lost 3 in a row, win 3, and we lost 1. Like overall, I mean, our record has greatly improved since we were 10, and now we are 2 games over 500. So we've gained 4 games in the standings here in about a week and a half. 2 weeks. And overall, I mean, the team has been getting better. It doesn't feel like it as much because you have games like last night where the Red Sox blew a 6-run lead and they lost against the Blue Jays, who they shouldn't have lost that game. There's some questionable decisions that you can say may have been made, but as a whole, I think that the team is doing fine, and they're getting better right now. Now let's look at the statistics here by player, and when you scroll down here, you notice that Alex Bregman is leading the team in WAR right now, and that's not really surprising considering how well he's been doing. But when you really look at his stats, I mean, they're shockingly impressive, really. He's batting 328. He's got a 401 on base percentage, a 985 OPS, and he has a 175 OPS plus. He's got 7 home runs. He's got 11 doubles, 18 extra base hits already, 18. And when you look at his like career splits, this is actually kind of surprising because I was expecting him to get off to a very slow start because his over his career, he bats 261 with a 777 OPS. And so I was pretty concerned actually that he was going to come in, say his OPS was 750 to start the year, or even 700. It wouldn't surprise me that much if that would have happened. And Red Sox fans are going to be like, we're spending all this money on Alex Bregman while we're blocking Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony. But in reality, that hasn't happened at all. He's been our best player easily, most clutch player. He's done basically anything that you could ask for him to do outside of having some shoddy defense earlier in the year. He still won the Gold Glove last year, so that's not really a concern. But Bregman has been totally killing it. And I could go into this all day, but in reality, Bregman's done everything you could ask for. Now, number two, Willie Abreu, another surprise in here. I mean, Willie Abreu, 6 home runs, 1.8 WAR, 4 stolen bases, even 171 OPS plus. Like, who would have predicted this? I mean, the guy didn't even have a full spring training. I think he started spring training like 1 for 20. Then he gets in, and then he hits 2 home runs on opening day, and he just really hasn't let down since then. I mean, he had a slow spot in the middle there, but Willie Abreu has been very good, and I was an advocate for possibly trading him this last offseason just to clear space for Roman Anthony. I'm not saying that I wanted Willie Abreu gone, but I'm like, well, if you trade Abreu, you can get maybe like a Crochet back as part of that puzzle. But they chose to keep him instead, and they are much smarter than I am, clearly, as I don't work for the organization or in baseball. But Abreu has been killing it, and he's looking real. I mean, I talked about this even when I was advocating for him possibly being moved to clear up space in that outfield, about being potentially a 30 home run guy, and he could do that. I mean, he could do that this season even. And if he does that, I mean, that trade where we sent Christian Vasquez to the Astros just looks better and better every day. And then you got Garrett Crochet here. So our best position player and our best pitching acquisitions of the offseason are both leading the team in their respective categories for this. And it's not really that surprising. But at the same time, a 1.2 WAR, 7 starts, 2.05 ERA, 50 strikeouts in 44 innings pitched. And if you've looked at his games, he obviously had an absolutely dominant game against the White Sox. He actually had 2 games against the White Sox that were very dominant back to back. He had a very nice last start versus Toronto, but he also has struggled a little bit. You know, he didn't have a great game against Seattle, and he kind of got bitten by errors against Toronto earlier in the year. And overall, you know, he's still looking like a Cy Young candidate while not pitching like his best. Like, just think about that for a second. So Garrett Crochet has obviously been dominant. Great to see. Christian Campbell, I've figured out how to pronounce his name. Hopefully, Christian Campbell. He has 1.1 WAR. He's done anything you could ask. He's leading in Rookie of the Year contending or in contention right now. I would say he's the leading Rookie of the Year candidate right now. The 154 OPS plus. Like, he's been one of our best hitters. Like, genuinely, and he was maybe our best hitter the first few games of the season outside Willie Abreu. Cedar Rafaela. Okay, just want to point this out really quick. Everybody is saying Cedar Rafaela needs to go and be a utility guy, myself included, just to clear space for Roman Anthony, and he's fifth on the team in WAR right now. You know, that's pretty crazy when you really think about it. Now, obviously, a lot of that comes from the defensive side of it. He's really not hitting enough to justify it, but he's, you know, come around a little bit lately. He had a 2 for 4 game. I guess he's been 0 for 7 or 0 for 8 since then. So um, his at bats look a little bit better. He's not striking out as much, which is great. And overall, I mean, he's walking a lot more. I mean, 7 walks isn't, you know, a ton of walks or anything, but if you extrapolate that over a full season and he gets 35, 40 walks, he had 15 last year. You know, I'll take 35, 40 walks from Cedar Rafaela if he plays a full season. I don't think he's going to play a full season. I think the pinch is coming, and he's probably going to get pinched. But in reality, he's been fine. I mean, he's been very fine. The defense side of things are great, so I'll take it. And you got Carlos Narvaez right behind him, right? Narvaez. I was low key kind of excited for him this last offseason. We talked about that in my preseason video, about how his defensive value could be really solid. And we're seeing that. I mean, and his bats come around a little bit lately. You know, he's got, look at these last couple of games. I mean, he has a home run, 1 for 4, 2 for 5, 1 for 3 with another home run. I mean, if he can kind of do this type of thing, say he bats 240, 250 for you, it's 15 home runs if in a platoon type season. I mean, that's kind of optimistic, I would say, but in reality, like he's done way better over his past like couple of weeks than he actually did at the very start of this season. Did struggle quite a bit. Let's see if my computer can look. If I can show you this, but um, overall, Carlos Narvaez has just been very solid replacement for Connor Wong while he's on the IL, and we see what happens when Blake Sable is like playing in the lineup. It's just not good. And when Narvaez is there, we're winning ball games, and so that's not going to. Trust me, he's been doing a lot better. And then you got Rafael Devers, who started the season like 0 for a million, right? But let's look at hopefully this one loads. There we go. So since he started off that season super slow, like look what he's been doing since that point. I mean, he's basically just having another Rafael Devers type campaign, right? 267 batting average with a 902 OPS. That's pretty much Rafael Devers. Maybe the batting average is a little bit low, but this is basically what Rafael Devers does, right? He's been totally fine, and he had another big slump here, like right in the middle, which is actually kind of funny considering he's so hot and so cold. But he's back to being extremely hot again, and over his last 5 games, 364 batting average and a 1371 OPS. And so if Rafi's getting hot right now, and we're still early in the season, he's going to give you 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. He's still going to be Rafael Devers because that's just what he does. And this is something that's very, very, very encouraging. He leads the league right now in walks. He also leads the league in strikeouts. But if you lead the league in walks and you also lead the league in strikeouts, I'll take that 100%. He can strike out 200 times. I don't give a crap. If he's walking 100 plus times to go along with 30 home runs, give me 3 true outcomes from Rafael Devers. I will take that because that on base ability has been lacking at times previously, but it's just gone up and up and up, just creepily up over the past few years. But this year, it looks like something has clicked a little bit more with Rafael Devers. And if it has clicked and he can get on base, say he is batting, 270 like he's been doing the past few years at the end of the season, but his on base percentage is like 400, like that is very, very, very good. And I will definitely take that from Rafael Devers because I mean that could be one of the seasons where he's pushing top 5 MVP by the end of the year if that's what ends up happening. If he has a 400 on base percentage, I mean he's going to get that OPS close to like 950, which he hasn't even come close to that really since his 2019 season. If he can get like an OPS 950 and he gets an OPS plus, above 150, I think he could get top 5 in MVP, potentially being as like a DH, depending on if he can get close to 40 home runs or something, or drive in a ton of runs. Like it's plausible from him, even just being a DH. He's never going to win it ever, especially with what Judge is doing, which is insane. But um, it's hard not to be happy with what Rafael Devers is doing, especially considering how bad he started. Next up, we've got Trevor Story as the number 8 best player on the team so far. And honestly, Trevor Story has not been doing super well over his last few games or so. But the start of this year was terrific for Trevor Story. Honestly, terrific. He was batting 337 with an 894 OPS prior to his last like week of baseball, which he hasn't been doing well. He's been in a slump, whatever. And he's kind of gone down to 260 with a 704 OPS, which that's not really what you want to see. But at least the start of this season, 5 home runs in his first 23 games and 6 stolen bases. He was doing things that nobody else in the league was doing except for like Tatis. At one point, he was the only player with Tatis in the league that had more than 3 home runs and 6 stolen bases at the same time. Very early sample size, but he had a terrific start to the year, and especially for a guy who just has not been on the field. This is the Trevor Story that we've really never seen in a Red Sox uniform so far. The power and speed combination that he provides while giving that defensive value is just so important to the success of this team. And you've seen it so far while he's been on the field. He's been doing things even when he hasn't been hitting that have helped this team. I don't know what the season's going to totally bring for him. Point six WAR is fine. I mean, if he plays a full season at this rate, gives you 120 games, which is my goal. That's like a 2.5 WAR player, something in that range, which it's not really what you're looking for from Trevor Story. I think he is going to be more like a 4 type WAR player by the end of the year. Um, but in reality, I mean, if he gives you 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases while playing very good defense at shortstop, you take that from Trevor Story, and that's what he's given you so far. Next one up, we got Aroldis Chapman, and so people were concerned about Chapman being the closer, and he's been sort of the closer, right? He's got 4 saves on the year, but he's not been the only closer the Red Sox have had. Um, 1.59 ERA, 11.1 innings pitched, 17 strikeouts. Best, by far the best thing that I've seen from Chapman so far is only 4 walks. And he has these ebbs and flows to him where you're just never going to 100% know what Chapman's doing at any given point. And right now, he's in one of those great stretches where he's just striking out a lot of batters and he's not giving up a lot of walks. 13.5 Ks, 3.2 walks per nine. But you look at his career and this number goes up. And there'll be times where you're going to come in and Chapman hasn't done it really this year, where he's going to walk 3 guys and he's going to give up a bases clearing double at some point in the year. We're going to be like, this guy stinks. And you know what? He's not my favorite person in the world by any means, but it's hard to question the decision right now to sign him when he's been doing stuff like this. Um, what's it going to look like at the end of the year? I don't know, but like his stats the past few years, people were saying he's cooked and whatever, and I'm like, how can a guy who throws 102, 103 miles an hour be cooked right now? And he hasn't been throwing that hard regularly as much. Like he's been throwing like 100. So I do think that they're intentionally pulling him back and being like, listen, like just throw softer. You still throw 100 miles an hour and strike more guys out and have better control of it. You think that that would have happened over the past few seasons, but apparently not as much. But in reality, Chapman's done what you could ask for, and he's done very well with it. So Rob Refsnyder in the 10 spot, who predicted that? I mean, people, I guess, who pay attention a little bit. Rob Refsnyder's just been probably a top 5 bench bat in baseball over the past like 3 seasons. He didn't have a great 2023, I'll give it that. But look at these last 2 years. I mean, this is off the bench, right? 1.2 WAR, 307 batting average, 881 OPS, 143 OPS plus. His last season, 283 batting average, 131 OPS plus. Like these are super great numbers. I mean, he's a platoon type bat, but Rob bats in the middle of the lineup when he usually he's batting like second through fifth, and he just comes in and produces. And people are like still wanting. I still hear people be like, we need to get Rob Refsnyder off this team. Like he's blocking Anthony. Like why do we need him? Blah blah blah. This is why we need him. He's batting 333 right now with a 168 OPS plus. Like uh, I don't know why you would advocate for him to not be on this team. Like is his leash a little bit shorter than it has been the past few years in the final year of his contract? And with these prospects ready to go, yeah, it probably is. But at the same time, like as long as he's doing anything close to this, he's going to be around for a while. If he totally falls off the cliff and just isn't doing well, he might get DFA'd, in August or September. I mean, it's possible that that happens, especially with bench tune type guys. His batting average could drop into the low 200s pretty fast. Um, but I mean, you can't say that he's not doing great. And he's in the last year of his contract. He's indicated he might retire, but I don't know why he would when he's still performing like this. And then you got Jaron Duran, who has turned it on as of late. He started the year very bad, but look at these numbers. I mean, after starting the year bad, like he is leading the league in triples, leading the league in at bats and plate appearances. He's batting 279 again. He's got a 762 OPS. He isn't getting power production quite as much as the previous year, but in reality, like he's still doing very well. And the one thing that does concern me about Duran is you look at his defensive metrics, and they aren't as good as last year. We'll go over to Savant really. Actually wants to load, um, but his defensive metrics are slightly concerning at this point in the year. I wouldn't say that I am concerned about him at this point, but like his arm value is a lot less, and his overall fielding run value, he's -3 runs, and he was like one of the best in baseball last year, 93rd percentile, positive 11 runs. And so we're a month into the year now. This is just now the point that I can start like saying the sample size is getting a little bit bigger. Um, but I mean, still 96th percentile base running values. Start off the year bad hitting, and he's still 77th percentile. So I have to imagine that this number, this third percentile fielding value, at minimum is going to go up to at least an average by the end of the season. He was just too good last year for this to be such a regression in the opposite way. Um, but it is something to kind of watch out for, which is why he's not producing the that that we're seeing or we saw last year when he was almost a 9 B WAR player, and he's only a 0.5 WAR start of the season. I think he's still going to end the year 4.5 WAR. But this is just, he's still a great player. Then last one on this list, we got Garrett Whitlock. Garrett Whitlock is just doing Garrett Whitlock things. You can crap on him right now because everybody's upset about him because he gave up a game-timing 3-run home run yesterday. But shit happens. He's a reliever, his ERA is going to get a little inflated from time to time. And even with giving up that 3-run home run, like prior to that, yesterday, he was 15.2 innings pitched with a 1.72 ERA. Like, he's doing exactly what you could want from Garrett Whitlock. He is giving you length. He's had 3 outings where he's given up runs right now, and he has 8 outings where he hasn't given up runs. And in 4 of those outings, he's pitched 2 innings. So he has 4 2-outing appearances where he hasn't given up a run, and in all of those appearances, he has given up 1 hit. So he has 8 innings of 4-hit baseball in 4 different relief appearances this year, which is very good. I mean, he got beamed by the Toronto yesterday. It kind of happens, but Garrett Whitlock is one of the better relievers in all of baseball, and he just proves that year after year after year. So I'm glad to see it. So that's the top 12 in that are doing or that are going in the system. I wanted to talk about those 12 specifically because obviously they're performing. Now let's go down this list, and we're just going to talk about everybody else that we didn't mention so far. So we've got Tristan Casas. Um, Tristan Casas is not doing well right now. He has been worth a -1 WAR, and people are really, really on Casas right now because they just assume that Roman Anthony can come up and replace him. Be like, oh, he's gonna take over at first base. He can play first base. Why don't we just have him do that? Blah blah. Blah. And it's just like, okay, that's not gonna happen for a number of reasons. But look at Casas over his last 6 games, and he has a 278 batting average. He's got 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. I mean, obviously he hasn't been consistent or even good, but this is a 6 game stretch where he's hitting okay. And if he can kind of keep that up, um, he's the only first baseman that we really have on the roster. I mean, you can call Romy a first baseman, but he's not really first baseman. He can kind of fill in at first base. He's not going to be a permanent first baseman. So there is the need to give him a longer leash, Tristan Casas. Um, he's not going to be this bad. He's always been very cold to start the season, but I do think he's going to turn it around, and I think he's still going to hit you 25 home runs by the end of the season because I think the Red Sox don't have a choice but to give him more of an opportunity at the moment. I think he's good. He's a good player, but he's obviously been bad, and I keep saying Memorial Day is the point that I will get concerned with Casas. But now we're at May 1st, and you can start to feel a tickle in the back of your brain a little bit. So, um, Bregman, Durant, Sadon, Willier, like all the position players are doing very well except for Tristan Casas right now. And then let's look at the rest of the bench. So we got Romy Gonzalez. Romy's just a professional guy. You know, we're not going to dive too deep into him, but he's a very good bench bat. He could get optioned at some point, honestly, depending on what happens with the lineup and everything. But I like Romy. I think he's very underrated. I think you put him and you give him every day at bats on some other teams, and he could be a very good average major league player for you. And he's got power and speed combination. We haven't seen the power much this year. He hasn't hit a home run yet, but 5 doubles is nice. And the 1 stolen base doesn't indicate how fast he is. This stolen base was actually a steal of home, by the way. And then Rob Refsnyder, we talked about David Hamilton on the hot seat for sure. I wanted to trade him this last offseason, and I was an advocate for trading him in a different way than I was for Willier Abreu. Willier, I obviously, I said I didn't want to trade him, but it was like to clear roster space. I think he's a good player, whatever. David Hamilton, I thought, overperformed last season, and I thought it would have been a good time to kind of unload him. He had like a 2.5 WAR season. I mean, he 2.6 WAR. He did the things you could ask him to do, and in reality, like 94 OPS plus is solid enough for a guy that he's a pretty good defensive second baseman, not a shortstop, second baseman. He steals a ton of bases. So like if you look at this and it's like, okay, he's got a little pop, he's got a lot of speed, pretty solid defense at second. That should be a regular like player consistently. But I think the fact that he's not starting is hurting him. He's probably lost some confidence, but he's been bad this year. And I think that they missed the window to trade him. They probably could have gotten a pretty decent little piece for him. Now we're probably stuck with Hamilton, and it's very plausible that we almost lose him for nothing. We've definitely wasted his value at this point when we could have traded him. We could have had Nick Sogard be the David Hamilton here, and then Nick Sogard could be an up and down guy a lot easier, but instead chose Hamilton. I think it was the wrong choice. But Connor Wong, he's been very bad to start the year. He's coming back in rehab appearances right now. He should be back, I would think, sometime next week. It's great because Blake Sable has been even worse somehow. Um, but I think Connor Wong obviously is not this bad. He actually, if you look at his metrics on Savant here, I always talk about Wong. Yeah, I think he's due for regression. Like, look how bad this was last year. There's a lot of blue. And he still got results out of it, which is concerning to me. Because if he's batting 280 with these type of metrics, like it seems like he got a little bit more lucky than he should have. Expected batting average is 231, 280. Like that worries me a little bit for the future. Then you look at 2025 and at least the start of the year, like he's hit swinging the bat faster and he's barreling it up way better. And his sweet spot percentage was very high in a nothing sample size, of course. But if his bat speed is up to 73 miles per hour compared to what it was last year of 72, I mean, that's a pretty big difference. And it could drag these metrics up a little bit more. And honestly, like he might not do better than he did last year, but at least it might align with his metrics better. That makes sense. So, Connor Wong, you know, just I think he's going to be platooning with Narvaez by the time he comes back. But yeah. And then let's go to the rotation really quick. So, actually, it'll probably be longer than really quick, but obviously Crochet has been great, and the rest of the rotation's been mixed for sure. Walker Bueller has had some great starts, has had some not so great starts either, but over his past few appearances, they've been better. His last start, he went 6 innings, gave up 3 runs. One before that against the White Sox, 7 innings, gave up 1 run. I mean, these last 4 starts have been much more consistent. He started off the season poorly for sure, um, but I mean, if he's going to be a guy that can give you a sub 4 ERA, which I think he will, um, then he's a very solid like middle of the rotation. His peak is obviously number one type guy. I don't know if we're going to fully get that this season from him. I'm optimistic we will get more flashes of that, but at least at this point, it's been a kind of a wait and see mixed. We'll figure it out, I guess, type stuff. Tanner Houck, what's happening with Tanner Houck? Um, I don't know what is going so wrong with because when you look at his stats here, his strikeouts are down um, a little bit. His walks are up. Just giving up the contact. Like he's never been a big strikeout type guy since he's been a starter, right? Um, and I mean, he was a little bit better earlier in his career, but he's just not a strikeout guy. And he was still an all star last season. But like, he's just been bad this year. Like that's just what it is. I mean, he's getting hit hard on pitches he was getting players out with last season. And that's concerning for the long term because when you have an ERA this inflated, you have to do very well, like for the rest of the year. In reality, he's probably going to have an ERA at this point to end the season unless he really turns it on. I mean, you got to have like a 2 ERA the rest of the season to get that 2.5 ERA to get that below 4. And he's capable of doing that. He did that for like half a season last year, but this is not encouraging. Sean Newcomb, he so his stats on paper aren't bad. He feel just doesn't feel like a guy that's going to stick in the rotation for too much longer. Um, Even a 4.24 ERA, his FIP is 2.61. Like these are good numbers that I would defend a lot of the time. 30 strikeouts and 23 innings pitched. I think he's just going to be out of the rotation. I think he's going to be more of like a long reliever type guy. Probably like the last guy in the bullpen that's going to give you innings, just because we've got pitchers that I think that the Red Sox want to give a look at. And it's not that Newcomb hasn't done fine for us. We haven't won his starts, which I think perception of him hasn't helped. He's already made one release, so I think that that's just where he's going to kind of be back and forth between because they want to give Richard Fitz an opportunity when he gets back. And Hunter Dobbins has looked really solid in his first couple of games, and um, Dobbins is another one of those guys where it's just like he made his major league debut this year, and I look at Dobbins throughout his career, and it's always kind of been like, yeah, he could be like a back end type rotation guy, but he has not. Um, he wasn't doing great at the beginning of the season. He did uh, do very well last season overall. I mean, you look at these numbers: 125 innings pitched, 120 strikeouts. Doesn't allow a whole lot of hard contact, but I don't know. I wasn't 100% sold on Dobbins, but so far he's proving me a little bit wrong. And I mean, if he can maintain some of this and give you a back end starter by the end of the season, like you're going to be very happy with that. Richard Fitz, I think he's going to be slightly better than Hunter Dobbins here once he gets, some more starts. But Richard Fitz looks like a very solid like number 4 type starter, whereas Dobbins I feel like might be like a 4 or 5. Chapman obviously has done well. Whitlock's done well. Greg Weishart's done well. He's doing Greg Weishart things. People like to crap on him. again, I mean, I get it to a degree because he'll blow up sometimes, but overall, like these are the stats that you're going to get from Greg Weissart. Bernardino's been doing really well. Again, people were wanting to ship Bernie to the moon after last season, and last season he wasn't even that bad. Like I was saying, I'm like, if he's the last guy to your bullpen, like that's not a bad person to have if he's a 4.06 ERA. Like the previous year, I mean, 3.2 ERA, he was one of our better relievers in 2023, and it looks like he's back to just being that. I mean, he got kind of a rough end when we picked Jolie Rodriguez to make the opening day roster last season over him. He did not like that at all. Deservedly so because Jolie was terrible, but he's been very very good for the Red Sox. And then you got Justin Slayton, who he's had a couple outings I think here that haven't been amazing. Obviously, he took the loss against. That's not really his fault, but since he was since the start of the season where he kind of got that one bad outing here against Baltimore, like look at the rest of these starts, like or these appearances. He hasn't given up a run, guys. Like he's not even giving up hits. Like Justin Slayton's awesome, right? Like I mean, he had one really bad outing where he took the L on it. It was bad for sure, but this is not indicative of who Justin Slayton is. It just kind of happens sometimes with relievers or any pitcher for that matter. Just as a whole, like since that point, I mean, we're talking what's he gone 8.1 innings pitched. He's given up that one Manfred runner, 2 hits and 8 strikeouts. Like Justin Slayton, PJ Stats over on Twitter, he talks all about Justin Slayton and he fanboys about him all the time. And I totally understand why. Like he's a terrific pitcher. And so Red Sox got a steal of him, picking him up in the Rule 5 draft. And his 3.48 ERA, that is going to go down this year. I can almost bank on it. We've got Josh Winkowski. I think he's obviously just going to be an up and down guy the rest of the year. Brian Bayo's come back. He has had some okay starts. He hasn't like looked as good as his results have shown. I mean, he's got 2 wins and a 3.27 ERA, which is great. Those baseline stats are good. But then when you look at his like walks, he's giving up too many walks. He's giving up a couple home runs already. Not striking out very many guys. Results at the end of the day have been there for Brian Bayo, but there is a little bit of like behind the scenes stuff that I'm unsure about. I don't know what happened with Zach Kelly, but he's broken. I know Zach Kelly. A lot of people were kind of in the same category as Bernardino last year, and again, I defended Kelly because he's got some good stuff, but he has been straight ass this season. Like, and so he had a start. He started in AAA earlier this week. He went point 0.1 innings, gave up 8 runs at AAA. 8 runs. Look at this ERA at AAA. He's got a 16.62 ERA because he gave up 8 runs in point 0.1 innings. I guess he's got 4 scoreless appearances outside of that, but I mean, he has been bad. Is the only word. Like it's very bad. So I don't know what we're gonna see from Zach Kelly the rest of the year. Something is wrong. Might just need like an IL stint to kind of like calibrate. Maybe there's something that we're not seeing quite yet. Zach Kelly's a fine pitcher, but it's crazy how bad he's been. Justin Wilson's been okay. I was concerned about him, but if he's like first lefty out of the bullpen, he's been fine. I'm surprised they signed him. Whatever. Gio's back. Okay, Giolito, his last start, his first start in a Red Sox uniform was fine. That is my take on it. He was in and out of trouble through the first 5 innings, but he was scoreless. Hadn't given up a run yet, and he probably needed to be taken out of the game after that 5th inning. He gave up 2 home runs, and he ended up, still finished the inning, got a quality start out of it. But obviously, this led to a loss yesterday. But I mean, the 7 strikeouts were great. That's really good to see. He only walked a couple batters, but he was just again in and out of trouble all day. It kind of felt like so. It's a TBD on Gio. If he can give you a back end starter by the end of the season, great. We have a bunch of back end type guys at the moment. We really need somebody to step up, be that number 2 behind Crochet. Um, but I don't know if it'll be Giolito or Criswell. He's gonna be up and down all year. Obviously, he's shelled so far. Luis Guerrero, he didn't make the opening day roster because he was horrible in spring training, and I was a little bit concerned about him because he started off season at AAA also not good. Because I was talking about him as possibly being a closer at some point this year if it all worked out, but he really did a lot better at AAA after I think he gave up like 5 runs appearance, but then he was like scoreless in a bunch of other appearances. And since he's been back up, he's 4 innings pitched. He hasn't given up a breakouts, only one. He's looking like the Guerrero that we saw last season, which was very good, very, very good. Seems like one of those guys that's just going to be a back end bullpen piece for you for a number of years. So great to see that from him. Liam Hendricks has been, again, kind of mid. It sure makes me laugh every single time I see it, but he's been kind of mid. And I feel the same way about Liam Hendricks as I kind of do about Lucas Giolito. Obviously there's a lot of parallels between them, but it's just a wait and see type thing. They're needing to be able to get more reps before I can give a solid opinion on them. I will say I'm not super optimistic about Liam Hendricks. I'll tell you that. But we'll see. Michael Fulmer, he made his one appearance, so off the roster if I remember right. And then Robert Stock, same thing. DFA'd. He's still in the organization, I think, whatever. But anyway, that's it. So as a whole, though, when you talk about like the individual performances from players, the offensive side is coming around. There have been a lot of really good performances here. You know, the top tier of the lineup has done really well. Bregman, Abreu, Story, Devers, Campbell, Rand's doing well. Ref Snyder's done a lot of guys here performing well. 40 home runs. I think we have hit a dozen 3-run home runs. I actually should put a video together of all the 3-run home runs that we hit. We hit a dozen 3-run home runs last year, or this last April, which is like twice as many as any other team in baseball did. And you're seeing it. I mean, we're getting a lot of people driven in here, and the games that we're winning by a lot, as we kind of talked about earlier. But we've also gotten crushed in a few drafts. So the offense, I'm not worried about. I was saying that it's a clear top 10 offense preseason, could be a top 5 offense. We're basically seeing that. I think it is a top 5 offense potentially by the end, especially if we have Abreu doing what he's doing, and we still have guys like Casas that are going to turn it around, and the potential for Roman Anthony and Marcelo Mayer coming. That's also going to help this offense potentially at some point or another. It is the pitching side of things that's concerning. So the bullpen's fine. I'm not concerned about the bullpen. Had some blowups here. These ERAs are okay. They're not as terrific as some of these other teams where you'll see still like some zeros to start here. But overall, like these 5 guys here are fine, and then the back end of the bullpen got some up and downers that are going to be good for you. And guys like Newcomb and Dobbins, if they go to the bullpen or are in and out of the bullpen, feel okay about that as well. So I'm not super concerned about the bullpen right now, barring more. I am concerned about the rotation, and hopefully, like I said before, somebody needs to be able to step up and be that number 2 behind Garrett Crochet. Whether it's Bueller, whether Houck's going to figure himself out, whether Bayo or Giolito does it, or maybe Dobbins or somebody crazy comes out of nowhere and does that. I have no idea. But if they don't get that guy right behind Crochet, like you're going to have some issues, because if you have a good 1-2 in the rotation, and I think that the guy's probably going to be Bueller. But if you have a good 1-2 in the rotation, you can have a bunch of like 4 or 5 starters and be fine. But if you have a top dog and then a bunch of 4 or 5 starters after it, do not have that other guy that can make up in case Garrett Crochet has a bad start. Because what if Garrett Crochet has a bad start, which is going to happen? He goes 5 innings, he gives up 5 runs. That type of start will happen. Guys like Crochet from time to time. Pitching is volatile. You know, it is what it is. And then you don't have somebody behind him to be able to be like, don't worry, I got you. Like if you don't have a guy that can come out and give you 7 innings, potentially the next starter, or at least 6 innings, like you're gonna have a bad day, and you're gonna put too much taxation on the bullpen, which we've seen the past few years. And even we had a good bullpen last year. The Red Sox had a good bullpen last year. They taxed it way too much to the point that it became a bad bullpen. And that will happen again this year. We have a good bullpen right now, but if you continue to tax it with 5 inning starts or less, it's going to become a problem for sure. So their record is kind of fair right now. You know, I think that if they, I mean, this playoff odds are wrong. Don't read that. Their playoff odds are like 57% right now, and their World Series odds are like 4% if I remember correctly. I don't know what this is, but if they improve on their pitching side of it, which their rotation hopefully will improve, if they can do that, then I think this team's a playoff team easy, and they are going to contend for the division because the Yankees aren't as good as Aaron Judge makes them out to be. Because you go back over to what the Yankees are doing this year, and they are heavily being anchored right now by like Aaron Judge, and Ben Rice is actually doing Trent Grisham. Like they're guys who have not done this stuff before, which is concerning to me if I was a Yankee. Now, if you have breakouts, great. I think Ben Rice could be real. Yankee perspective, he could be a guy that's going to hit you 30 plus home runs. I think that's very plausible. Um, Trent Grisham, it would be pretty wild if Trent Grisham kept this up. And then you've got Aaron Judge, which he's not batting 400 this year. He's probably going to win another MVP because that's just what he does. He's the best hitter on the planet by far. But like the rest of these guys kind of behind them, I mean, we're talking Jazz is not doing very well. Like, I mean, he's hitting home runs, but he's batting 181. Austin Wells 213. Volpe kind of stinks, honestly. Bellinger's not doing well. Goldschmidt's got some batting. Like he's batting 356. I don't think he's. I think this could be more legit, but like overall, like their lineup is just there's still a lot of concerns behind it. Way more concerns than I have. I'm a Red Sox fan. And then their pitching side of it, Rodon has been doing pretty okay. Max Fried's been pitching like a Cy Young winner right now. It's between him and Crochet, I would say, at the moment. But then the rest of their pitching is just not great. Devin Williams has been ass, like actual ass, which is pretty nice to see. But um, the Yankees have a lot more holes than the Red Sox do, but they also have Aaron Judge that just drags them along. And so it's if he gets hurt, the Red Sox division is theirs to lose. That's kind of how I feel about it. They are so reliant on Aaron Judge. It's crazy, but that's kind of the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this type of thing. I have not been doing it often as much because as this channel kind of evolves, I find it a little bit more difficult to actually spend time making videos with myself as like the focal point of it where I'm talking. Whereas it's a lot easier for me to find, a ton of highlight videos that are happening right now that you may not have seen that you might be interested in and kind of cropping those together with my family, like doing things in the background. But regardless, I appreciate all of you guys that are here. Thank you again for so much for watching that big Roman Anthony video that I made. That took me like 2 months to actually make. So um, now you see what I'm talking about when I say how much time it takes for me to do this stuff. But stick around. There will be more things like this in the future. There will be more other edited type videos, and there will definitely be highlight videos coming at you very, very soon. So if you guys like that type of stuff, like and subscribe, do the things. But yeah, appreciate you all for sticking it out to the end, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.